How do you blow a 25-point lead in an election? Asked Canada's Conservative Party. Once seen as a sure bet to replace the decade old Liberal government, the Conservatives now find themselves trailing just days before the polls open. And the twist? Much of it has to do with someone who isn't even Canadian. Donald Trump. In this video, we unpack the dramatic political turnaround that's shaken Canada, how US tariffs and Trump's 51st state talk have triggered a nationalist wave up north, and why it might be the defining twist of Canada's 2025 elections. At the beginning of 2025, the odds looked grim for Canada's Liberal Party. After nearly a decade in power, then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was facing mounting criticism, not just from the public, but from within its own ranks. In December, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, once a loyal Trudeau ally, walked away from the cabinet. The New Democratic Party, whose support kept Trudeau's minority government afloat, began demanding his resignation. He has to go, declared NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. By January, Trudeau stepped down. Recognizing the threat of a conservative landslide, he said, and I quote, "I don't easily back down faced with a fight, but I do this job because the interests of Canadians and the well being of democracy are something that I hold dear." End quote. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, a populist firebrand, was suddenly in pole position. But just a few months later, it's a different story. Now, the Liberals under new leader Mark Carney are edging ahead in key national polls. Ipsos post debate, Liberals at 41%, Conservatives at 38%. CBC poll tracker, Liberals at 43%, Conservatives at 38%. Latest Nanos poll, Liberals leading by 8 percentage points. Compare that to February, when Conservatives had a 25-point lead. Even Carney himself is polling stronger as a potential Prime Minister, leading Poilievre by 41% to 36%. Other parties remain relatively stable. New Democrats 12%, Bloc Québécois 5%, Greens and People's Party 2% each. What caused this reversal? Two things: Trump and tariffs. Donald Trump's return to the White House brought with it a renewed trade war, annexation style rhetoric, calling Canada the 51st state, mocking Trudeau as a mere governor. These provocations ignited widespread anger among Canadians. Trump's frequent digs, paired with import tariffs, sparked a wave of nationalism. The result: booing of the US anthem at games, cancelled vacations to America, and calls to boycott US products. Political scientist Luke Turgeon told the BBC, Trump's rhetoric has pushed all the other issues aside. Rallying around the flag is now a central theme. End quote. The entry of Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of Canada and Bank of England, was perfectly timed. Carney became Liberal leader and Prime Minister on March 14th, stepping in just as anti Trump sentiment surged. Daniel Belland of McGill University says, timing is everything in politics. Without the Trump effect, the Conservatives would probably still be leading. Carney has directly attacked Trump and Poilievre. Trump wants the Canadian economy to collapse, so it's easier to annex us, he said. He has promised to renegotiate the trade deal with the US, rebuild Canada US ties on Canadian terms, push back against economic bullying. This election has become more than just party politics. It's now a referendum on populism versus globalism, Trumpism versus Canadian identity. Poilievre adopted Trump-like tactics, Canada first, slogans, brash rallies, but that might be backfiring. Trump, for his part, downplayed the comparisons, telling The Spectator, and I quote, Poilievre is not mega enough, but he didn't hold back criticism either. He said the conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. End quote. Recent weeks have shown a slight conservative bounce as Trump toned down the Canada bashing. Daryl Bricker of Ipsos noted, we're moving back to domestic issues, especially affordability, which could help the conservatives. While Carney leads on big picture economic vision, Polivrio remains competitive on everyday economic pain points, what Bricker calls kitchen table issues. But make no mistake, this election may go down in history as the one where a foreign president single handedly shifted the trajectory of another nation's democratic outcome.